Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs of 30th July 2022. So let's get started with our discussion and let us try to see first topic. So this topic it is about RTI Act, that is Right to Information Act of 2005, and we are going to talk about why we need to protect these whistleblowers. So I think if you have completed your ethics which comes under your GS paper 4, so there is one topic that is Right to Information Act directly, and even in your governance you will come across this RTI Act. So here we are focusing on only about this whistleblowers, right? So now let us try to see this topic, and this topic is important from your GS paper 4 under ethics and even under GS paper 2 which comes under your governance point as well. So from GS paper 4 and GS paper 2, so this topic is important. And if you are talking about what is RTI Act, so we came up with this Right to Information Act of 2005. So that led to increasing of transparency and as well as increasing of accountability. So here, as you all know, that government is accountable to people. So here people need to know what are the functions of the government and what are the policies and programs are coming up by government. So if it or any policy and program which is coming up by government, so how it is implementing, so what is the result, so how much amount of the funds they had been spent, so all this information that to be known by the people. So it is a right of people, right? Because government is accountable to the finally people. So here we came with this Right to Information Act, and this act which mainly empowers people to participate in the policy making process, and even because of this Right to Information Act, people they can have access to the information which is related to the functioning of all public authorities. So here we can say Right to Information Act of 2005 which empowered people to participate in the policy making, and even people now have access to information regarding functioning of all public authorities. So here ordinary citizens they have used the law to make public authorities accountable and transparent in their functioning. So because of this Right to Information Act, so it mainly made government accountable and answerable to the people. So actually what happened, this RTI Act which mainly used by especially some cross sections of society, for example activists, for example lawyers, bureaucrats, researchers, journalists, importantly the ordinary folk. So those are the people they had been using this Right to Information Act, and they all have been asking some simple questions and they are getting information. For example, answers regarding the public funds, how much amount of the funds they allocated and how much amount of the funds they had been utilized. So because of this, whenever people they started asking some information regarding the public funds, yes, that led to unearthing of corruption at panchayat level to right up to the parliament. So from the basic level, from panchayat level till parliament, due to this Right to Information Act, so people started asking information regarding these public funds. So due to this questions which asked by the public funds, asked by the people regarding these public funds, and they are getting information. So because of this, that led to unearthing of corruption in all kinds, at different levels from panchayat level till this parliament level. So we can see there is a wide spread of understanding, and as well as use of this RTI, it is a shining example of participatory democracy. So as we all know that we are mainly focusing on this participatory democracy. So in this participatory democracy, people need to participate. So here, because of this RTI which came into existence, and it is one of the shining example, we can say people they started participating in this policy making. So here one cause of concern regarding this RTI Act here is there is increased killing of activists. So since implementation of this RTI Act, so some hundreds of RTI activists across the country, they had been killed, and even several people they had been harassed on the daily basis. So it is one cause of concern. So people who are fighting this RTI and they are getting information, and whenever they are exposing information to general public, so those people they had been killed, and even some of them they had been harassed on daily basis as well. So this is a reality of one of the strongest law or democratic accountability, so that we must systematically address. So as as important country, so we are mainly following this democracy and we are having the strongest laws. So in this country, yes, we need to address this issue and we need to come up with a strong legal and as well as institutional safeguards. So if you're talking about which state in our country which is facing this issue, so Bihar, it is the first country and is also the most dangerous position in the status of RTI activist. Okay, so even though if you're talking about this Bihar, which is one of the earliest promoters of this law, that is RTI Act, but now we are seeing there is a large number of deaths and harassments against this activist in this Bihar. So this Bihar state ranks first in the number of deaths of this RTI users. So as many as 20 RTIs they have been lost their life from this Bihar. Right, so if you're talking about earlier this month, civil society organizations, they organized a public hearing in Patna. Okay, Patna, it is a capital city of Bihar. So in Patna, civil society organization, they organized public hearings, and in this public hearings, they mainly addressed about the issues regarding the families of whistleblowers who disclosed the whistleblowers had been working on the issues regarding this public importance and public important and as well as public interest. And whenever these activists, they started exposing irregularities, corruption, and if they want to pursue transparency in the functioning of public distribution system, and even MG Narega, Anganwadi centers, housing schemes, illegally operating health clinics, etc. So actually there is a large amount of the deaths and harassments. They are mainly seen whenever these activists, they started to focus on the issues of public importance and public interest, and especially irregularities and as well as corruption in the society. And next one is they are mainly starting for pursuing of transparency in the functioning of public distribution system, that is PDS system. So where people, they are going to get subsidized food grains. And next one here is MG Narega scheme and Anganwadi centers, housing schemes, etc. So the killing of these RTI users and intimidation of their families, it is one of the important challenges that we are facing, and they are struggling for the justice, especially in the Bihar, not only in Bihar but even in the other parts of our country. So there is a lack of government action and there is a collusion of police and powerful vested interest. They are mainly present and they are not letting to get justice for those families. So actually we need a new framework to fight against this challenge. So in this new framework, so what we have to go for? So as you all know, the civil society, they need to maintain the list of the person who lost their lives, okay, because of demonetization, because of COVID-19, and now because of RTI. Now civil societies, they have to maintain the list of the persons who lost their life, okay, and especially in the particularly the poor people who are not remembered merely as numbers. We need to move beyond maintaining a count. So especially we need to maintain a list so that we can fight for the justice. If there is no proper data or proper records, so how can we produce the proof in the courts, right? So we need to advocate and we need to move towards creating a social legal system, and we need to recognize RTI users under attack as a human right defenders, and we need to build a framework, and this framework need to protect these whistleblowers, and we need to focus on the public interest and as well as issues of this public interest as well. So these are some important things that we need to include in our new framework. And now what are the steps to be taken? So here this article talked about 3 important steps, and now let us try to see them one by one. So first important step here is, so state governments, they need to come up with the law enforcement agencies. So they need to direct this law enforcement agencies in the state, and they can come up with a time bound manner complete investigation of all cases where this right to information activists, they had been harassed and they had been killed. And state governments, they can also come up with some efforts to provide adequate compensation to victims' family. Yes, the first step here is, yes, we can act at the state level. So at the state level we have state government, and this state government which need to direct this law enforcement agencies, and these enforcement agencies, they had to focus on these cases and they had to investigate on these cases in a time bound manner, especially regarding this harassment. And if there is any death happened, so in these death cases, so victims' family, they need to get the proper compensation, that is adequate compensation. So this is the first step. And second step here is, So what are the evidence that is present? So this evidence which clearly shows that information requested by this murdered RTI users, so that information according to the section 4 of this RTI Act, so that information should be mandatorily disclosed in the public domain. But here government authorities, they are not disclosing this. So here state governments, they need to take some efforts and they need to institutionalize proactive disclosure and as well as actionable information that should be disclosed by the government. So government that should be come forward and that should be placing the data in the public domain, so that here people, they are not going to file in this RTI, so that will not also lead to some harm for their life, right? So here information which is requested by this RTI users, okay, so that information according to the section 4 of RTI Act, that should be proactively, that means without any, if there is no question which may be asked under this RTI Act also, so government need to come forward and it shouldn't displace this information in the public domain, so that people having access to this information. So whether it is possible or not, so one question which may arise, whether it will be possible or not. So if you see the case study, Rajasthan, which had taken a lead in active disclosure of information, for example, they came up with a public domain, that is Jan Suchana portal, and even Karnataka also came up with this Mahiti Kanaja. So it is one of the outstanding example of practical ways of mandatory disclosure of information under section 4 of RTI Act. So we can write these case studies. And next one here is, in all case of threats, attacks or killings of this RTI activist or RTI users, so the State Information Commission so must immediately direct the relevant public authorities to disclose and even to publicize all questions raised and answers given to the users. Okay, so these are the 3 important steps that can be taken. And now let us try to see what is the need. So we need proper effective legislation. So the urgent need here, it is to enact and to come up with effective legislation, and we can protect whistleblowers. Okay, so there is an urgent need to enact an effective legislation to protect whistleblowers. In 2016, Supreme Court bench of Justice T.S. Thakur and Justice A.K. Sikri came down heavily on union government for its reluctance in notify this Whistleblowers Act of 2014, but unfortunately to no avail. So even in this Supreme Court judgment of this T.S. Thakur versus Justice A.K. Sikri in 2016, they said that yes, union government need to notify this Whistleblowers Protection Act of 2004, but it does not came into existence. And Supreme Court also observed that there is absolute vacuum. Okay, vacuum means that is no action that is mainly seen. Okay, so we need to take a specific time frame to establish an administrative, and we need to protect these whistleblowers. So this is about this topic in detail. And finally, in conclusion, you can write about this famous case of Supreme Court of 2014 also. That will give some value addition to your answer. And now let us try to say next topic. It is regarding core sector output. So core sector output expands by 12.7%. So this article is important from your economy point of view, which mainly comes under your GS paper 3. And here you need to know about this, what is this core sector. So which all comes under this core sector. I also gave this mnemonics number of times. And next one here is, you have to also know about index of industrial production. So these are some important topics that you have to refer regarding this. Okay, regarding this core sector. So now let us try to see why it is in news. So India's 8 core sectors output growth moderated to 12.7% in June. Actually in May it was like 18.1%. So now it decreased. Okay, so now we can see like 12.7% of this output growth. So now let us try to see some details. Coal, cement, electricity, refinery products, they rose 15% or more, where we are comparing with the June 2021 output levels. And if you see natural gas, which increased 1.2%, steel 3.3%, fertilizer 8.2%, which has grew a milder pace. And if you see crude oil output dropped. Okay, crude oil output dropped. So this is about the status now. So here commerce industry also have revised index of 8 core industries for March and May. Okay, so this is about this topic, and actually in our index of industrial production, so 40% which includes this 8 core sectors. So now let us try to see the facts, and let us try to see which are those 8 core sectors. So I will be giving you mnemonic once again, so especially for the beginners who are new to this channel, so please make a note. FERN is 3 C's. Okay, so this is the mnemonic to remember this 8 core sectors. F for fertilizers, E for electricity, R for refined products, N for natural gas, and S for steel. And we have 3 C's, right? So one C it is for coal, one C it is for crude oil, another C it is for cement. So these are the 8 core sectors. And these 8 core sectors comprise about 40.27% of weight of items in our index of industrial production. So you can see this decreasing order as well. So higher weightage is for refineries, next one is electricity, next one is steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement and fertilizers. So now let us have a look over against this index of industrial production also. So if we're talking about this index of industrial production, so this IIP is an indicator, and this indicator measures the changes in the volume of production of industrial products during the given period, and it is compiled and published monthly by Central Statistical Organization, that is CSO, and this CSO comes under MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Actually, this index of industrial production, which is a composite indicator, and it mainly measures the growth rate of industry groups. And 3 broad sectors includes mining, manufacturing and electricity. And we are also having some used based sectors like basic goods, capital goods, and as well as intermediate goods. And here if you see the base year, it is like 2011 to 2012. So this is about this topic, and now let's try to see next topic. It is regarding Places of Worship Act. So 6, please challenge Places of Worship Act. So we have to know about this Place of Worship Act. So actually this Place of Worship Act, which is seen highly in news because of this Nanvapi clays, okay, etc. So this article is important from your GS paper 2 under polity point of view. So now let us try to see this topic in detail. So why it is in news? So Supreme Court front, that is it mainly getting number of cases, more and more number of petitions regarding this challenging of this Places of Worship Act. So because of this Place of Worship Act, so there are a number of petitions which mainly filed in the Supreme Court. With these petitions are challenging this Place of Worship Act. So if you see some details, it mainly says that, so in March 2021, the top court had issued a formal notice to Union Ministries of Home, Law and Culture, and this petition, which mainly filed by Advocate Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay, against various provisions of the Places of Worship Act of 1991. So in March 2021, the top court had issued formal notice to Union Government, okay, Union Ministry of Home, Law and Culture, and this petition, which mainly filed by Advocate here, and they are mainly talking about various provisions of this worship of Place of Worship Act of 1991. So actually this act, which mainly mandates identification of religious places of worship, and actually the date here is 15th August 1947 when we got independence. So that is the date which mainly fixed. So here Advocate says that, so this cutoff date of August 15th 1947, which is arbitrary and irrational. Okay, so because of this act, especially some communities like Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, they are barred, they are mainly banned for approaching the courts to reclaim their place of worship that are invaded and encroached upon by these fundamentalist barbaric invaders. So whenever these Muslims they enter into India, so they mainly dismantle number of temples, okay, especially the religious places of Hindus, Jains, Buddhists and Sikhs. And in this act, the final year or cutoff date here is August 15, 1947. So this date, which is mainly not accepted by these communities. So because of this, there are a number of petitions that are coming up. So if we're talking about some facts regarding this Places of Worship Act, so this is an act which is mainly focusing to prohibit or to prevent conversion of any place of worship and to provide for the maintenance of religious character of that worship place. Actually, it is existed on this 15th day of August 1947. So here this act says that, so what is the status of that so and so temple on this 15th day of August 1947? That the same thing that will goes on. So there are also some exemptions. So recently here Ayodhya issue. So dispute site at Ayodhya was exempted from this act because here the trail of this Ayodhya case proceeded even after the enforcement of this law. And this one here is, besides this Ayodhya dispute, this act which also exempted any places which is ancient historical monument or archaeological site which mainly covered under this Ancient Monuments of Archaeological Sites and Remains Act. So which are all comes under this act, they had been exempted. And next one here is any dispute which has been settled by the parties or conversions of any place, okay, under this act. So after once this act which had been commenced, so whenever there is any dispute which had been settled, so that will also be exempted. So if you are talking about what is a penalty, so section 6 of act prescribes a punishment of maximum of 3 years of imprisonment, and there will be also said there will be also a fine, okay, under the provisions of the act. And if you are talking about criticism, so this law which made a challenge on the grounds that, so this law which is talking about the basic structure of constitution, which imposes an arbitrary irrational retrospective act or retrospective cutoff date, so that will be taking away the rights of religion of Hindus, Jains, Sikhs and as well as Buddhists. So this is about one of the important criticism. So now let us try to say next topic. It is regarding Manas Reserve have 2.4 tigers for every tiger. So this is talking about the male to female ratio or sex ratio. So for every one tiger, so we have 2.4 tigers in this Manas Reserve. So here you have to know about some facts regarding this Manas Reserve, and you have to see the map locations, and you have to see in which state this Manas Reserve is located, that is in Assam. So in Assam, some more other reserves which are present, so which are they? So you have to do some map work regarding this topic. And this topic is important from your environment and ecology, which mainly comes under your GS paper 3. And now let us try to see this topic in detail. So if you see the context, it mainly says that Manas Tiger Reserve in Assam has 2.4 tigers for every tiger. For every tiger it is having 2.4 tigers. So this is according to the annual wildlife monitoring results of transboundary wildlife. It came up with this census or data. So if you see details, it mainly says that according to latest camera trappings, okay, by this National Tiger Conservation Authority, there is about 2,837 square kilometers with critical tiger habitat area of 536.22 square kilometers. And here this data found that 15 adult tigers along with 8 cubs are present here. Okay, and if you are talking about, there is increasing of 8 adults and 4 cubs that is seen over 2021. So here this assessment which mainly said that 29 tigers they were repeated from 2021, okay, while the 23 new tigers they were reported. Okay, so here they found that the sex ratio is 1:2.4. So if you are talking about this Manas Tiger Reserve, so here authorities they had mainly set up 381 camera traps, and they are getting support from this WWF, that is World Wide Fund, Nature India, Wildlife Trust of India, okay, Aranya, etc. So here the forest guards and the foresters deployed, they are also focusing on anti-poaching camps. So because of this, that led to increasing of numbers. And even Manas Tiger Reserve, which is a contiguous with this Bhutan's National Park also. So if you see map, here we have Bhutan and here we have Manas National Park. So there is some extension of this Manas National Park in this Bhutan also. So now let us try to see some facts regarding this Manas National Park. So this national park, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it also came up with this Project Tiger and as well as a Project Elephant, and it is also a biosphere reserve. So actually it is located in the Himalayan foothills in Assam region, and here you can see the name of the park which mainly originated from this Manas river which mainly flows in that area. So the park, it is known for the rare and as well as the endangered wildlife as well. So here the river Manas, which is mainly flows to the west, and finally it mainly joins the Brahmaputra river. So we can say this Manas, it is one of the important tributary of this Brahmaputra. So this is about this topic, and I hope it is very much clear. So actually in tomorrow we are going to come up with a live on YouTube. So in that live we are going to discuss about how to approach art and culture. So I will be giving you the details, and I will be explaining the topics and which of the topics are most important from your UPSC point of view. And we are also going to discuss how to approach this art and culture, and I will be giving you the sources, etc. So please try to watch that live class, okay? Don't forget this. And the time here is 7 p.m. So at 7 p.m. we will be having live on YouTube regarding how to approach art and culture. So try to join this and try to utilize this session, okay? And now let us try to see the next topic. Title says India's upcoming economic and financial hub. So this article which is talking about gift city, and this topic is at most important from your economy point of view. I covered this topic from Indian Express. So this article is at most important, so please focus. So why it is in news? So actually you know about this gift city, right? So it is Gujarat's international finance tech city. So now this gift city, which has emerged as the country's first greenfield integrated city. So in economy you will come across two terms, that is greenfield and next one is brownfield. So what is greenfield and brownfield? So if you are going for a development, okay, that's a first hand development, that is called as greenfield, and brownfield means already we have so and so structure and we are going for renovation of this structure, that is called as a brownfield. So actually this gift city is the country's first greenfield integrated city, and actually this area earlier it used to be a barren land along the Sabarmati river, and government came up with this development of this gift city, and this gift city which mainly emerged as a country's first greenfield integrated city, and it is India's first and only international financial service center, that is IFSC, where we have banks, where we have stock exchanges, where we have financial services. They have been set up at a global operations. So it is one of the important things that we have to remember. And if you are from Gujarat, yes, there will be question from this gift city for sure in your interview. So we're talking about some facts regarding this gift city. So gift city, which refers to the greenfield central business district, and it is an integrated hub that is seen in the Gujarat. And here in this gift city, which is mainly making a promise like world class infrastructure, and they are going to attract the global players. Actually it spread over 886 acres in this Gandhinagar, and this city which consists of multi-service special economic zones, and it is also having exclusive domestic tariff area as well. So if talking about demarcation, so this plan it is to develop 62 million square feet, and it consists of both commercial space and as well as residential space and even social space. So what led to evolution of this gift city? So our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he was Chief Minister of this Gujarat in year 2007. At that time only he mainly come up with the concept of this gift city. And if you're talking about long-term vision, so our Prime Minister vision, it was to create a globally benchmarked financial center, and it can compete with the renowned finances centers in London, Tokyo, Shanghai, Paris, Singapore and Dubai, and he want to come up with the center which is like that, and finally he came up with this gift city in this Gujarat. And if you're talking about next one, that is smart infrastructure. So social infrastructure of this city, like for example we have schools, we have medical facilities, we have a proposed hospital, okay, etc. We have also sports, indoor and as well as outdoor sports facilities, and even it includes well planned residential housing projects, and we are also having some commercial space as well. So what is the need of this gift city? So first let us try to see what significance. So as you all know, India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and we need to expand our economic and strategic activities globally. So that is mainly done to this gift city. And next one is develop Indian financial markets. So here IFSC, it is in this gift city that would provide Indian corporations they will be having easy access to this global financial markets as well. So in this way, it will promote further development of our financial markets in India, and even that will helpful for financial services, financial transactions, etc. And next one here is it will also helpful for promoting of business as well. And next one here is it will also helpful for entry of foreign universities. So in this Union Budget 2022, which mainly led a new route for the opening of foreign universities in India. Okay, so many Australian, many UK and US based universities, they had shown some interest in establishing their presence in this GIFT IFSC. So because of this, it is also helpful for education sector as well. And now let us try to say next topic. It is regarding Election Commission allows 17-year-old to register in advance for voter list enrollment. So actually, I want to share one experience. So whenever I registered for this Election Commission for the voter ID, so that time I was 17 years. So there was elections. So what happened means at that time I am not eligible for getting this voter ID. So by that I missed a lot of chances of making vote or giving my vote. Okay, so this is one of the important step I can say. It is a very much forward step which is taken by the Election Commission of India, which mainly allows 17 years old to register in advance so that they are not going to miss their chance of voting. Right. So now let us try to see this topic, and this topic is important from your GS paper to under polity point of view. So if you see context, it mainly says that Election Commission of India in simply ECI, which announced that those who are over the age of 17, they can now apply in advance to be enrolled in the voters list. So they do not have to wait until they reach the age of 18 on January 1st of each year. Okay, with this announcement, so ECI, that is Election Commission of India, which began the process of incorporating the changes announced by the government recently regarding this electoral reforms. So Election Commission of India announced that here the people who crossed this age of 17 years, they can now register with this Election Commission of India in advance in this voter list. So if you see details, it mainly says that for the first time, voters now can apply for their inclusion of their names in the voter list even if they didn't attain this 18 years, that is before attaining of age of 18 years. So new voters who complete 18 years on April 1st, July 1st, October 1st of any given year and not just January 1st will be the eligibility to enroll into the voters list. So this is one of the forward step that we can see. However, ECI has announced that all 17-year plus youth, they are going to turn 18. So they are qualified to submit their claims in this advance. Okay, so they can go for applying for the date of draft publication in the electoral rolls. So if you're talking about what is this early registration policy, so here what happens, so here the date is January 1st. So on this January 1st, if you are getting the 18 years, you can go for registration. But now here ECI came up with this early registration policy. So revision of electoral rolls was done with the reference to this January 1st. So Representation of People's Act allowed the voter registration for those who have attained the age of 18 years only once. So only those who have attained the age of 18 as on January 1st, they are eligible to take this voter list. But now, so here the cutoff date here which mainly have some relaxations, and person who are going to turn 18 on January 2nd, actually they cannot register. Okay, but now here because of this early registration policy, so even they are not have achieved 18 years, yes, they can now register with this voter ID. And now if you're talking about some facts regarding this, so part 15 of Indian Constitution, especially article 324 to 329, which mainly talks about the provisions of free and fair elections in our country. And here it also empowers Parliament of India to regulate this electoral process. So here we also have one act, that is Representation of People's Act of 1950 and even Representation of People's Act of 1951. So this act which mainly provides for the allocation of seats, delimitation of constituencies, and qualification of voters, preparation of electoral rolls. So apart from that, 1951 Act regulates actual conduct of elections and by elections, and also even provides the conduct of elections and offences and disputes related to elections as well. And here these articles are also deals with this registration of political parties. So especially this Representation of People's Act deals with the registration of these political parties, qualifications, disqualifications, etc. So these are some important facts that you need to know. And now let us try to see next topic. It is regarding Coffee Act. So title says explained why government plans to scrap this decades old Coffee Act. So this article is very important from your GS paper to under polity once again. So now let us try to see why it is in news. So Ministry of Commerce and Industry is planning to replace 80 years old Coffee Act. Okay. So now Ministry of Commerce and Industry, it is planning to replace 80 years old Coffee Act. They want to come up with this new Coffee Promotion and Development Bill 2022. Okay, so this has been listed for this monsoon session of Parliament. So because of this is in news. So if you see details, so the Coffee Act of 1942, which was first introduced during this World War II. So during this World War II, so this Coffee Act of 1942 had been introduced. So why it is introduced? Mainly to protect struggling of Indian coffee industry from economic downturn caused by the war. So especially during this World War II here, so here Coffee Act of 1942 which came into picture, that is even we got before independence. So even before we got independence, we came up with this Coffee Act of 1942, and it is mainly focusing on protecting and as well struggling of Indian coffee industry, because due to this war there was economic downfall or downturn which mainly happened, especially at that time. So we came up with this Coffee Act of 1942, and government now it is trying to scrap this law because substantial portion of this Coffee Act of 1942, it deals with pooling and marketing of commodity. Okay, so because of this we want to come up with replacing of this act. So new legislation is now primarily concerned with promoting sales. So they are mainly focusing on promoting sales, consumption of Indian coffee, including e-commerce platforms with fewer government restrictions, and it also aims to encourage further economic, scientific and as well as technical research as well. And this one here is Coffee Board continues to have unlimited. Okay, so if you are talking about this coffee boards which continue to have limited control over this marketing, exporters, etc. So we need to have unlimited control. So because of this we are coming up with this new act. So we have to see whether it will be passed in the Parliament or not in this monsoon session. So this is about this topic, and these are some important current affairs that appear in our today's Hindu newspaper. Now I want to make a small announcement here. So we in Rathod says we came up with this mains answer writing course. So this course it is for 1 year. So in this 1 year we are going to give 52 weeks targets. So based on that weekly target we will be giving you daily one mains question, and on Sunday you will be having essay or case study. So we will be also having live webinars for the students who are enrolled into this mains answer writing practice. So here we are going to discuss from GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4 each and every topic which is important from our mains point of view. So even we are including some contemporary issues in your GS paper 2 and as well as GS paper 3. So this is a one best opportunity. So don't miss this opportunity and try to join this course. And the details of this course are given in description box. And if you want to take this course, you can visit our website, Rathod's IS Academy website, and there you have to register with your email ID and click on the course list, and you can see this daily mains answer writing practice course there, and you can go for checkout page there itself. So this course is one of the best course that you had ever seen, and as you all know, mains is very important to clear your UPSC. So please don't take any choice, try to join this course as soon as possible. So now let us try to see our today's Hindu newspaper PDF. So this is our today's Hindu. So date is July 30 and this is Delhi edition as usual. So the first topic is regarding core sector output expands by 12.7. I discussed this topic, and there is one article which is talking about regional languages. So let me zoom this so that you will be having a good vision. So teach law, medicine in regional languages, says Shah. So our Union Home Minister, he said that, so we need to promote our regional languages, which is essential to unlock the potential of Indian talent. And he says 95% received primary education in their mother tongue. So because of this, we can go for teaching of this law, medicine in the regional languages. So he also said that medicine and engineering should be also taught in the Indian languages. So even research and development could only be done when one thinks in his own language. Okay, so this is about here regional language, and even in our national education policy we focused on this regional language. Okay, so not only this, even Chinese, whenever you're talking about different universities of China, so they also started they also teaching their courses in their native language. So because of this, it is one of the steps that we can take. And if you move forward here, you can see new warning on all tobacco products soon. So what is this new warning? So Ministry of Health and Family Welfare notified that new sets of specified health warnings for tobacco products packages by making an amendment in the cigarettes and other tobacco products packing and labeling rules 2008. So actually we are going to come up with some changes in this rules of 2008, and these rules will be applicable from December 1st onwards. So the new set of health warnings, they shall be for 12 months, okay, from its commencement, and they are also focusing on soft or printable version of warnings in 19 languages. Okay, and all tobacco products manufactured or imported or packed off or on or after December 1st shall display the new image with textual health warnings as well. Okay, because tobacco which causes painful death. And next topic is about the Place of Worship Act. I discussed this topic, and here there is one more article which is important. And here if you see this image, so this image, it is about conservation of tigers on this International Tigers Day. And here you can see Kerala tops holdings in this assembly sittings in the 2021. So here if you see this chart, the first one occupied by Kerala, second one is Odisha, Karnataka is third, fourth is Tamil Nadu, fifth is Bihar, sixth is Himachal Pradesh, seventh is Rajasthan, eighth is Jharkhand, ninth is Assam, and 10th is Gujarat. Okay, so this chart which mainly shows that state assemblies which sat for more than 20 sessions in this 2021, and Kerala recorded the most such sittings last year, which mainly followed by Odisha and as well as Karnataka, and you have to remember this. So Kerala, which had been slipped to the 8th slot in the holding of assembly sittings during this COVID-19 pandemic, and finally it returned to its top spot in 2021 and came up with the 61 days of sittings, which is one of the highest in the country. So the states showing as impressive as 2021, they mainly saw some virulent second wave of pandemic. So in fact, between 2016 and 2019, it also remained as a top, okay, for the average of 53 days. And if you move forward, there is nothing much in the city page. You can directly go on to the states page. There is also nothing much important. And here you can see Kerala keen to replace wheat with ragi from center, and you have to see the geographical conditions which are suitable for the growing of wheat and ragi. So this is one important point. And now Kerala government has sought central assistance to distribute ragi powder and chickpea instead of wheat, okay, in at least 3 districts where anemia cases are high. So actually this ragi is very much helpful to fight against this anemia. So here Kerala government, which got some central assistance mainly to provide or mainly to supply this ragi powder and chickpea instead of wheat, where anemia cases are very much high, and even there are some lifestyle diseases are high. Okay, so you have to know about what is the role of this ragi in this anemia. So how it is going to fight against this anemia if you are taking this ragi powder. And next topic in this editorial page, I discussed about this whistleblowers topic, and there is one article regarding this Tunisia. In yesterday's lecture I discussed about this Tunisia. You can go through that once. And next topic, it is in our page number 8, that is in the states page. So here you can see Modi unveils India's first global bullion exchange. So this article, which is mainly talking about the gold standards. So India actually, it is one of the second biggest consumer of gold, and we are mainly moving to set up IIBX, that is India International Bullion Exchange. So it is one of the India's effort to bring transparency and as well as a market for the precious metal, that is gold. Okay, so India is the leading import of the metal and imports about 1069 tons of the gold in 2021, and mainly up from 430 tons year ago. So we can see there is increasing of gold imports and we need to come up with the standards. So because of this, our Prime Minister launched this India International Bullion Exchange. And if you move forward, in page number 9, there is nothing much important. And page number 10, you can see boon for leaf plates bowl makers in Himachal after the ban of single-use plastic. As you all know, from July 1st onwards, there is strict implementation on this ban of the single-use plastic. So because of this, here there is increase in the demand for these leaf plates and as well as bowl makers. So this is one of the case study that you can see. And it is regarding Manas Reserve. So I discussed this topic. And here you can see one article that is regarding Jumbo. Jumbo means nothing but elephants. Spurt in jumbo poaching suspected in Odisha. So what happened in Odisha? There are 12 carcasses. Carcasses means nothing but dead bodies of these elephants they were found. So discovery of these 12 carcasses of elephants, some having bullet wounds. So on this elephants they have some bullet wounds. In the past 2 months they brought under the sharp focus here that there is a poaching of these jumbos which is happening in this Odisha. And also there is increase in the suspected elephant poaching has been reported in the state after a decade. So here in 2010, there were the carcasses of 14 elephants they were found in and around the Simlipal Biosphere Reserve. So you have to see where the Simlipal Biosphere Reserve is located. And actually in this, though the Odisha government, which is mainly constituted a special investigating team, and they are mainly looking into the probe, the elephant deaths. Okay, but there had been nothing like data which had been collected there. So this is about this topic, and you have to think about the poaching of these jumbos and what are the steps that can be taken. And if you are a district magistrate of that so and so state, so what are the steps that you are going to take. And if you move forward in this world page, there is nothing much important, and this business page there is one article regarding fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit touched 21.2% of target in quarter 1. So you have to know what is this fiscal deficit, and let me know what is the meaning of this fiscal deficit in the comment box. So I already discussed about this topic number of times. So these are some important articles that appear in our Hindu newspaper, and this is the current affairs of today. So by this I am concluding. So before concluding, I want to make a small request. So if you have liked the video, so please hit the like button. And even if you really like this video, so you can also share this video for your friends. And one more thing is, if you are new to this Rathod's IAS Academy channel, so try to subscribe this channel and click the bell icon so that you will be getting the regular notification whenever you are uploading the video. So by this I am concluding. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.